Hi, I am Tanvi. I am with author Raghavan Srinivasan. Today I am going to ask him few questions about him, his journey and his books.
Hi Tanvi, how are you? Look forward to a lot of interesting questions from you.
I'm so excited to have this discussion with you and thank you so much for joining me for this discussion. Okay, my first question is your books are about India and its philosophies. What draws you towards it?
See, one thing I want to make clear is that this is my fifth book, and actually, this is my first book on Indian philosophy.
Okay.
The earlier four books were more historical. Two of them were fiction, historical fiction, and two of them were historical non-fiction. Now, what drew me towards philosophy is that while investigating about history, writing about history and all that, history is, always connected with many things around. It is connected with religion, it is connected with politics, it is
Major.
connected with philosophy. So one has to get an idea of all the things around history.
True.
Otherwise, it will be a kind of a very what you call history kind of thing, a descriptive kind of thing
Yes.
with no value added from other disciplines. So I keep reading a lot of books on other things like political science and religion and now this philosophy. So from among all that, uh, I should also talk a little bit about this quick and concise series.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a series which is somewhat in between a textbook and a sort of a
Novel.
fiction
Yeah.
kind of novel kind of narration. So this is a kind of a serious research material. People who want to know more about the subject, but at the same time want to get a quick picture of, quick idea. So it suits both a student of history or philosophy as well as somebody who wants to pick up,
Explore
want
these
to
scenes,
go
yes.
a bit deeply into that. So it's not again a primer. It is more than a primer, right? So I started with Indian cities in this series called Quick and Concise. So quick and concise meaning one, it the book has to be concise.
Yeah.
It's not doesn't all the books in the series are about the same size,
Okay, yeah, I
200
can see like
around
these look
200
so
pages.
like these do
Yeah,
not look thick like thick books.
I don't feel like you're taking an encyclopedia or something like
Even if I talk about myself, I usually pick books under 200 pages until unless I direly want to read any book.
that. Right, right.
So this brings to my next question that since you mentioned you have written fiction also, so how do you balance between fiction and reality in your storytelling?
See, one thing is that you have to keep the two apart. You cannot mix them. You cannot write, for example, you cannot call a book a historical non-fiction and then try to bring some fictional material. The same factual things in history, you can write in a very engaging style. You can write it in a narrative style, but it cannot swerve from the actual, the reality.
Reality,
What
yes.
is actually an established in history circles. So take for example history. Okay, if you want to write authentic history, it has to be supported by any one of the uh, acknowledged sources of history.
True.
And acknowledged sources are either archaeological remains or inscriptional evidence or literature, you know. Even that you have to sift through what is correct and what is
Correct
not.
and not. Yeah.
And then there are these coins which talk a lot about this thing. And so if and now they do a lot of research on archaeological findings to find out a little bit more about people's lives.
Hmm.
So all this combined together gives you a picture of authentic history, and you can interpret, but you cannot do that interpretation without evidence. You have to
Without
present the
evidence. True,
evidence
that's
first
correct,
and
because
then say, I think so.
yeah, nobody is going to believe your writing, and nobody is going to come back to that writing piece.
Yeah, right.
So that's, we are not writing just that people leave it forever. We are writing so that many people can come across it, and they will also gain knowledge what
Yeah,
we are having.
yeah. So that is the difference. Whereas fiction, you can spin a story, you can write about mythology, you can write
Definitely,
a
definitely.
historical fiction of something happened in that particular period, or a king's life. Some an assassination, or you can make it very sensational
Hmm.
without really having to prove anything. It can be
Anything.
even go
Yes, yes,
here and
yes.
there with respect to the dates, the period, and all
Yeah,
that. So one can take liberties, because that is
yeah.
fiction. The author says, "I am writing fiction."
Yeah, keeping its authenticity is very much required if we want it to outshine. It
Yeah,
it sparks its own value.
that's true.
Uh,
And I'm quite happy about that, because both these Indian cities and Indian philosophy, till now, no one has, no history expert or a philosophy expert has pointed out that you are wrong here. You know,
oh,
they have
that's
just
great.
given their own interpretation. Like, some of them said you should have elaborated this a bit
Mhm,
more. You
mhm.
know,
The
yeah,
way we have fan fiction, so there should be something like they can write their own version of it. If
right.
author has not written that, because the author did not want to write that thing.
Yeah,
So when we talk about fiction and the people are requesting a different ending, or maybe different part or different story, they have a choice to write a fan fiction. So they can write their own version. In
exactly.
fact, they can share it with the author. Maybe author will write it and author can share it in
Correct.
his circle, and that can help the other person as well.
Right.
If given a chance to collaborate with any writer from past, present, or future, who would it be and why?
Okay. Um, because I am a history author, more I've written more about history than any other subject. I would like to, you know, compare or try to see some very good authors in history. Some people who have sort of changed the way you write history, and in that way, I like, if I get a chance, then I would like to collaborate with Alex Rutherford, who
Okay.
is a well-known historian who has written several series on, he's written an entire series on Mughal history. So
It's
I like the
nice.
way he presents it, and
That's amazing.
I too got quite impressed with the way he presents it, and that is one way I feel history should be written, because uh, it is sort of, he himself says that it is between, some kind of fictional material is there. Okay, it is not entirely a history book. He admits that. At the same time, the dates, the period, the political events, what is happening around the world, everything will be very authentic. It will be only what is happening in the emperor's mind, or what is his wife telling him. Those kind of things he adds. So,
Oh, okay.
but that will be very relevant to the history. That just to elaborate what is actually happening. So that he wrote an entire series on the Mughals.
Hmm.
That was very good. So that is one author I would like to collaborate.
Okay. So if I have to say a dream collaboration or dream project will be with him.
Yeah, hopefully.
My next question is, how do you want your readers to remember you as a writer?
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to be remembered only as a history author, a philosophy author. I want to be remembered as someone who sort of put many things together and try to see the connection between history and religion, politics, statecraft, and so on. Because you can just write about one domain. To really understand what is happening, you have to understand the entire world, what goes on around history. And the same applies to what you write about a particular regime or about a particular dynasty.
Hmm.
So you often come across books which talk about a particular king or a particular empire, how it was built, and all that. I try to go a little bit deeper and try to see what kind of lives did the people lead at that time? What was their occupation? How did this king become so great? Who built all his temples?
Hmm.
Who did the trade and all that? And then you get to know a lot more things about how actual life of the people. Like for example, um, history books say this fellow is great emperor because he won 10 wars. You
What
know,
then was he won that empire?
he built an empire. Ashoka defeated the Kalinga and he built an empire. But then they themselves admitted that it is on the corpse of so many
So many
thousands
lives.
of lives were lost,
True.
so much of money spent, so many resources destroyed. So people then have to pay for those wars. So you have to look at what prompted these wars and what
True.
was the people's reaction to that. And of course, every king had to keep fighting.
Yeah,
The
that's
moment
true.
he done fight, is
That
finished
was a way of life, I guess, at that time, like
at that time.
capturing some other empire,
Yeah,
capturing people and ruling over people. That
right.
what we call that. What is the opposite of democracy?
Autocracy and
No, no, not that.
monarchy and
When somebody is ruling over the country,
monarchy and
monarchy. Yeah, monarchy. Okay, so that was the phase at that
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So before we close this discussion, I have few short questions for you. You just have to answer like very quickly. Like my first question is your favorite book.
Would be the Tale of Two Cities.
Nice. Your favorite author. Please don't say the author of Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, no, it is not. It would be Kalki because I read
Okay.
Tamil books and he wrote on the Cholas historical book. What was made into a movie, Ponniyin Selvan.
Right, right.
So he wrote the original novel.
Yes.
So I like the way he's a history author and I like the way he presents it.
Okay. Your favorite place in North India.
North India, not Delhi. In Delhi, I'm not so happy with Delhi. But if you call Bombay the north, then I like Bombay better than Delhi.
I whenever I ask people like where does Bombay belong, they say neither north nor south. So that doesn't make the answer.
Yeah, right.
You have to choose from
So
north.
maybe Bhopal.
Oh, that
Bhopal
can
is
go.
a
Yeah,
much,
that's I have
with
heard of
all
that
its
place.
lakes, peaceful place.
Yeah, I have heard. Like I have friends from there, and they keep praising that city.
Exactly.
Even there are also literature festival and book fairs there
Yeah, yeah,
in Bhopal,
yeah.
so they are like amazing.
Mm.
What would you choose, books or movies?
A difficult question. I like both. And books, but there's a difference. Books, I often read this very informative ones. Of course, books also I like detective stories and murder mysteries and all that. But I read a lot more of non-fiction and serious stuff. Movies, I don't watch any serious stuff. So I would like to watch some really entertaining ones with a lot of murders, mystery, and so on. So because that is to do with more of entertainment, this is to do with gathering knowledge, trying to understand what's happening.
So, what's your favorite genre when we talk about book? Is that murder mystery and thriller?
Yeah, I think of all the books I have read, more of them would be murder mysteries and uh, that type. Yeah. Though like I said, I read a lot of serious stuff and I read a lot of historical things and general analysis of what is happening, economy and politics, political science. But these murder mysteries do entice me a lot. Every now and then, normally I start with 2 or 3 books at a time. I don't read any one book, so it keeps the balance.
I'm getting one more thing in my mind. Like, if you have to ask your reader to read your books, so how would you convince your readers to read these books?
I like to point out that what is different here from other books. What is it that it is new? What is the twist that I'm giving? You know, and then convince that person. because you cannot tell that I have just written, I've done more research and written something better. It has to be like you say, what is different in the
Yes.
book. How do you gain by that? So mostly historical books, I argue that classroom history is boring, but a lot of people like history. So those who have missed out history in the classroom, they can now come and read books like this, and not just my books. A lot of other authors who bring out very interesting. They portray history in a with a new from a new angle, but not really very fictional.
Okay.
So that is one good development, I feel. Making people understand history, able to remember, able to appreciate what went on in those times.
True.
The past is very important for us. People ask, why do you need to know about some
History, like,
Arthashastra or some Mughal rule? What is the point? What I keep telling is that without your past, you are nothing. Your present is conditioned by your past. So
true,
you have to
that's right.
understand why are you here at this point in time believing in something. The answer is in the past.
True, that's correct. Like, we set our present or future on the basis of our past. Like, it's like karma.
Yes,
What we have done in the past will eventually bring our present and
it
future
will
for us.
reflect. Yeah,
Exactly. It was fun talking with you. I would like to know how you felt like talking about your book with me, and how was your experience?
it's good because you ask some questions in a different way, and maybe if I had given you more time and you had read them, you would have had more interesting questions
Yes,
or more
definitely. Like,
penetrative, deeper
yes, yes,
questions.
definitely.
Um, but I appreciate, you. I mean, you are looking at an author on, what is running in that author's mind. Why are they writing these books?
I
You know,
think that's easy for me because I'm also an author. So I
that's
can read author's
so
mind.
you have to see where you fit in and
Yes.
how do you present some things. Thanks for coming all the way and organizing this interview in this nice setting. Thanks.
Thank you so much.